dive into the pantheon of Philippine mythology. So brace yourselves to be terrified by creatures that will cause you death and devour your flesh. Here is my list for top 5 terrifying mythical creatures in the Philippines. Enjoy!
I totally speak English. I even did a little research on you. You're a foreign exchange student named Sunshine Corazon because you're from the Philippines where it's sunny every day.
Except for the monsoons.
Listen.
Number 5. Chanak, a baby devil in disguise. According to Filipinos, Chanaks are babies who died before being baptized. After death, they go to a place known as limbo, a chamber of hell which unbaptized dead people fall into and are transformed into evil spirits. The Chanak can also be the offspring of a woman and a demon. It can also be an aborted fetus which comes back to take revenge on its mother. Seeking revenge for what had happened to them, they rise from their tombs and hunt. Elders believe that the unborn children was taken by the devil and sent back to the land of mortals to sow terror, especially to those who are responsible for their death. It is also said that Chanak cannot go to afterlife because of not having a name. This causes them to be earthbound creatures which wander around searching for someone to give them names. The Chanak is a very dangerous creature because it disguises itself as a helpless infant. It waits for a victim deep in the forest, woods, or in an abandoned part of a city or village, or when it sees a person walking alone at night. The Chanak then begins to cry uncontrollably, and this is to attract attention until a victim comes to rescue it. The creature sometimes changes the tone of its voice, at times sounding closer and other times sounding farther away. It does this to confuse the seeker so that he or she becomes hopelessly lost. Once the person is lost, the Chanak then allows itself to be found, luring the victim into its location. Once the baby is picked up, the Chanak then shapeshifts into its true form, that of a vampiric infant. The creature reaches out with sharp talons to subdue the victim. It then uses large, sharp teeth to drink the victim's blood and consume the flesh. In local belief, various countermeasures are supposedly effective against the Chanak. One way is to turn your clothes inside out. Such an action amuses the creature so much that it loses its focus and releases the victim. Loud noises are said to have a similar effect. It is also said that by giving the Chanak a name and offering a prayer can set its soul free. Traditional methods used to repel vampires, such as garlic and the rosary, are also said to work against the Chanak. Number 4. Balbal or Busao. According to Philippine folklore, Balbal or Busao is an undead monster that would often sneak into a house of a dying person to abduct them or steals human corpses, whether it is in a funeral or grave, and feeds on them. It has sharp nails and teeth that allow them to tear corpses apart. Since it eats nothing but corpses, it has a foul breath. Its physical attributes have been adopted into many other tales of flesh-eating creatures throughout the Philippines. But modern tales depict that he walks in regular human form until drenched by the light of the full moon, where he will shape-shift into a disfigured bone collector. Busaos have a unique way of stealing their victims' corpses. They have the ability to exchange the original cadaver with a banana trunk, which they could magically transform into the dead body of their victims. Folklore has it that the only way to detect the theft is by looking at the body's fingerprints. If the body inside the coffin has no visible prints, chances are the original corpse had been stolen and replaced by the balbal. Beliefs in such creatures have played a significant role in shaping Filipino funeral customs. Due to the danger of the corpse being stolen by these ghouls at night, relatives and friends of the dead usually stay awake all night to guard the corpse. In the days before the electrification of rural areas in the country, people at wakes burned firewood all night, resorting to singing and shouting just to keep themselves awake. Number 3. Wakwak. The wakwak is a vampiric bird-like creature in Philippine mythology. Some believe the wakwak is a form of vampire. Other people contend that it is rather a night bird like a crow, but larger, and some says similar to a bat associated with witches, or that belongs to witches. A wakwak is often described as having long, sharp talons and a pair of wings similar to those of a bat. It uses its talons or claws to slash its victims and to get their heart. Its wings are also said to be as sharp as a knife. Wakwaks like to hunt in the rural areas of the Philippines, are said to snatch or grab humans or even animals at night as prey. They rip and maim their victims and then feed on their hearts. It is also believed that this monster is called wakwak due to the sound it makes when it flaps its wings while flying. This sound is only heard when the wakwak is hunting, and grows softer the closer it becomes. If the sound of the wakwak is loud, it means it is far away, but if the sound becomes faint, the creature is close. To drive them away, you can sprinkle salt inside and outside your house, hanging a garlic lantern in every corner of the house, while the others use to place a broom upside down in the doorway. Number 2. Aswang. Aswang is one of the most famous of Philippine folklore. It is a flesh-eating, shape-shifting monster, usually possessing a combination of the traits of either a vampire, a ghoul, a warlock or witch, or different species of werbeast, or even all of them together. They can change from a human to an animal form, usually as a big black bird with a long tongue, as a bat, a cat, a pig, or a black dog. It is especially popular in the small rural towns of the Philippines, and it is believed that aswangs are still active, especially in provinces. In terms of popularity, it is the Philippine equivalent of the Western werewolf or vampire. But unlike vampires and other similar creatures, they are not harmed by sunlight. Aswangs can also be befriended. They can talk to you like any normal human. Although they are generally shy and somewhat reclusive, they can have jobs, friends, and even families. These creatures do not harm their friends and neighbors, and were said to be exempted from their target. But this does not take away the fact that they are flesh-eating monsters. They search for food in faraway places that it would not be too obvious for them, because when people know of their identity, they are hunted down and killed immediately. Aswangs are said to be vulnerable during daytime, because during the time of the day they do not have the excessive superhuman strength that they have in their nighttime prowl. It is also believed that Aswangs only transform at night because they believe that God is sleeping. But at night, aswangs shift into eerie predatory forms and go hunting for human prey. It is said that they have a peculiar liking for the taste of human blood and liver, but preferring to feast on children and above all else, pregnant women. It is said that they find their victim by the scent of the mother. Upon finding the house of the pregnant mother, it alights on the roof from where it stretches its tongue, until it is as thin as a thread and uses it to enter the womb and feast on the fetus. It is said that in order to spot an aswang at daytime, look straight at their eyes. The person in front of you is an aswang if your reflection is upside down. Another way of knowing is by bending over and looking at the person from between your legs, upside down. The person is an aswang if the image of the person is different. It is also said that a person without a philtrum is an aswang. Witch doctors make kintura, a kind of oil used to detect if an aswang is near the premises. It is said that the oil will boil and bubble if an aswang is near. Like vampires, aswangs are repelled or killed by using garlic, salt, and religious artifacts or weapons like holy water, crucifix, rosary, prayers, and religious verses, and they cannot step on consecrated ground like churches, mosques, and temples. Certain native Philippine amulets and special prayers posted on doors and entrances may repel aswangs, a good example of which is the red and black bead bracelets worn by newborn babies. A whip made entirely of a stingray's tail may also be used to repel the creature, as the swans are said to be scared of the sound made by the whip's course slashing through the air. They can also be killed by being struck with a whip or by decapitation. But the most popular way for a person to avoid this creature is to put one's brooms upside down. Number 1. Manananggal. A woman with a severed torso and leather-like wings who also likes to feast on fetus. It couldn't get any scarier than this. The Manananggal's name comes from the Tagalog word tanggal, which means to remove or to separate. And in this case, one who separates itself, because Manananggal literally means one who detaches. Manananggal is sometimes confused with the aswang and wakwak, but the aswang and the wakwak cannot separate their torso from their body, while the Manananggal can. Legend says the Manananggal, oftentimes a female, is a beautiful woman by day. It dwells with country folks in the day and appear to be ordinary humans, but are often a witch or a sorceress. By nightfall, they transform themselves into a hideous, vicious, half-bodied, blood-sucking, man-eating monster. The Manananggal is said to prey on babies and sick people, but above all else is favor preying on sleeping, pregnant women. To feed, they will seek out a suitably isolated place, usually in the bushes or a grove of banana trees. There, she rubs her body with a certain type of oil while chanting a spell. Her hair will become matted, teeth change into long fangs, fingers transform into long, sharp claws. And minutes later, she will sprout bat-like wings. Her eyes will become wild and enlarged, and her body separates from the lower body. The severed lower torso is left standing, while the top half will fly around searching for its victim. With its acute sense of smell, it can smell a sick person or a pregnant woman even miles away. When they find a suitable victim, they will settle on the roof of their house, patiently waiting until everybody slept before they attack their prey. Then they create a hole on the roof where they will wriggle down their thin, hollow tongue, which is also very long and flexible, to the sleeping victim. And the tongue will puncture the womb and suck out the fetus, or the blood from a victim who is not pregnant. In some Philippine traditions, the Manananggal is accompanied by a bird called the tik-tik. It is said that the fainter the call of the bird, the nearer the Manananggal, and the louder the noise, the farther manananggal is, which is meant to confuse the victims. It's no wonder that the manananggal is the most feared creature of Philippine folklore and is considered to be at the top of the mythological food chain. The good news is manananggal can be killed. Sunlight is deadly to manananggals when she is in her monstrous form. Since their bodies are split in half, this leaves them to a vulnerable situation. If her two halves are still separate, with the coming of the dawn, she will be destroyed. If you want to kill a manananggal, you should search for the lower torso during her nightly hunts. Sprinkling salt, smearing crushed garlic, or ash on top of the standing torso on its exposed flesh is fatal to the creature. The upper torso then would not be able to rejoin itself and would perish by sunrise. According to the legend, to keep a manananggal away, place small pots of uncooked rice, ash, or salt around the home, which should deter it from settling around the roof. Manananggals also avoid vinegar, spices, and daggers, and the tail of a stingray that has been made into a whip. If these precautions are followed, hopefully the homestead and its inhabitants should be reasonably safe from these vile creatures. It has been told that there is a black egg or black living chick inside a manananggal and a swang's body, which is the cause of its cravings for human blood and flesh. A dying aswang or manananggal can pass its powers and cannot die unless it is successfully given to another person, but preferably to a family member. The aswang or manananggal holds its mouth close to a chosen person, and the chick inside the monster's stomach will hop into the mouth of the new person. Once the living chick has been transferred, he will now hunt for food to keep it alive. It can also choose not to surrender its power by bestowing it on another, and this is achieved through contamination, whereby the aswang's or manananggal saliva is mixed in with food or drink consumed by an unwitting person. Once contaminated, that person begins to develop a black chick within their stomach. These creatures can be cured of this condition, but this becomes more difficult the longer a person has been in a swang or manananggal. The most common ways to achieve this include hanging it upside down, spinning, beating it continuously, or building a fire beneath it. So this is my top 5 terrifying list of Philippine mythical creatures. If you want me to make more videos like this, or if you want a part 2, let me know by leaving a comment on the comment box below. And if you enjoyed this list, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and of course, don't forget to share it with your friends.